can send you this. If you need it later on, you can see it, the explanation, because as I mentioned to you, this is more about explanation right now, and maybe you forget it, so you can revisit it and just check it out what I have said. So yeah,
Okay.
it shows you how different entities like, like customers and order are connected in database. So for example, if I talk about entities here, you know, entities are what? We have two entities. First is customer, which is this, and the second one is order. Now, these represent you real world objects. Customer is a person or an entity who can place an order, and order is obviously a purchase or a request made by the customer. They have a relationship, which is basically a place. So that is this. This is the relationship between them. So this is, I'll write down relationship here. What is
Yes.
happening in this case? Uh, the line between the customer and the order shows you the relationship, which is called place, and it means that a customer can place an order. Now the direction of the arrow indicates you the relationship direction, meaning a customer places an order. That's why the direction, if you see, is the other way around. Basically, it is showing you that way. Then there is specifically this O symbol there next to the customer, which basically this one, which actually tells you that it is really optional for a customer to place an order. This means that customer may or may not place an order. Okay. This means the customer may or may not place an order in this case scenario. Now, in database terms, this is really important because it allows for the existence of the customer without an order. For example, if they registered but haven't bought anything yet, that is what it is. So if there are many orders, like for example, the crow's foot, three lines that has been, like here, if you see, it is kind of a crow foot. Have you seen a foot of a crow?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's like that. Next to the like order entity, it shows you that customer can place many orders. So while it's really optional for the customer to place an order, if they do not place, if they can place as many as they want also. For example, a single customer might place multiple orders over a time. So if I'll give you a practical example on it, you can have an example of online shopping, any online shopping platforms. Usually Amazon is famous everywhere, so I'm taking that. So customer is like each person who create an account on Amazon is a customer, and not every customer will immediately buy something. Some may buy, just browse and save items for the later in the cart, and so the relationship is optional for some. And if you talk about order, every time a customer buys something, an order is created in the system. So some customers may place many orders over time, one for each shopping session, while others may never place an order. So in this specific model, a customer may place many orders, and again, this is shown by the optional. This is shown by this zero thing and a crow's foot. And the optional part is that the customer doesn't always have to place an order. They can just browse, and but when they do, they can place as many orders as they want over time. So in database, usually this means that we will store all customers, even those without orders, and link the customers to orders when they actually place one. So, June, in real, I really want you to tell me, did you understood this slide, or should I do try better?
No, I understand. But what about this the two lines in front of the customer?
Let me check. Oh yeah, specifically. Now you see, these two lines basically, usually they are not there, but let me firstly confirm it from the one of the previous slide. Let me check in my uh you're talking about these two lines, right? Let me just draw them.
Yes, I just want to understand what does this means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. uh like this is basically, yeah, actually I'll tell you why they have given you, because I just need to make sure. Firstly, I'll confirm before telling you to check in the PDF. So basically these two lines are like kind of an, it represent you participation actually. Now what happened in ER diagram, like obviously this is ER diagram, so this means that in this relationship a customer must exist in order for an order to be placed. If there is no customer, there will be no order. So you can say an order cannot exist without being linked to the customer. So this is kind of shown you a mandatory partition. Like this is basically, you can say, a mandatory partition here.
Like the customer,
Participation, I would call it. Yes, sorry.
so the customer must be always there.
Or yes, yes, that is what these two lines are showing you, that these vertical lines tells you that or indicate that a customer must be present for an order to exist, and this means that you cannot have an order in the database that isn't tied to a valid customer. So if the line had a single vertical line, let's say, or just the crow's foot, it would mean that the customer participation is very optional. For example, every order must be associated with customer. Like if you try to place an order without creating an account or providing customer information, the system won't allow it. So an order cannot exist in that case unless there is a customer link to it. Like if I go on Amazon or any other shopping platform, basically online, I have to create my account, give them my contact number, give them my address and everything. And then they will say, okay, fine, now you can place an order. Even I can maybe, you might have seen this thing that, you go to the buy something and then you can add things to the wish part. Like I wish to buy this later and stuff. But you cannot add that to the cart, because through cart, you basically order things. And for that to be done, you need to make sure that you are logging into the system, or maybe logging into that specific online platform. So that is what it is. So these two lines basically mean that in the database, orders cannot exist independently. There must always be a customer link to each other. Okay.
So it means that when every time when I have to do an entities relation, I always have to put these two lines.
Yes, 100%, Mr. June. Yes, exactly, you said it right. Shall we proceed? Do you have any doubt?
Yeah, no doubts.
Amazing. Very good. Are we slow or we are fine with the speed? Please let me know in case if you feel like anything we can improve here, so that I can help
No,
out with that.
I understand.
Perfect. Perfect. So an order must be placed by one customer. The one symbol represent compliance in the mandatory, and they have specifically mentioned. Now, this is entity relationship diagram. Again, project and analyst. What does this say about the business rules? Okay. So did you get this slide here, Mr. June? I would love to know about it. What do you feel about this slide? Do you get it?
I guess the relationship between the project and the analysis,
Mm-hmm.
like, like what does this say about the business rule? I'm not so sure
Okay.
what to say.
Nice. Better, better. I got the opportunity. Now let me tell you what it is basically. So this specific slide is obviously, here you have this project, which actually tells you or represent you. You can say the different projects in a company or organization. Represent different project in company or organization. It can be any such thing. Second is you have analyst, right? Analyst is basically it represent you who work on these project. The one who work on these projects. What is the relationship? So the line between project and analyst with the label works on, uh, it indicate that an analyst work on a project, and this relationship tell us how the two entities are connected. Analysts are assigned to work on projects. Business rules are what in here? Well, we can say that an analyst can work on multiple projects. So the crowfoot notation here, on the specific thing here, it shows you that an analyst can work on multiple projects. Okay. So first thing is that this specific analyst can work on multiple projects at the same time, and this means that there is no limit to the number of projects on analyst, and it can be assigned to. For example, like if you talk about a consulting firm where I've been working once, analyst might be working on, several projects simultaneously, such as he get one, like 3 4 projects together, and he working on those specific project, and that really help, like that really happen in consulting firms a lot. And consulting firms, you usually make a lot of money in consulting firms though too. So in case you get a chance, definitely get into consulting firms. Then you have project that can have multiple analysts, like the Crowfoot on the analyst side. It suggests you that the project can involve many analysts also. This is typical in larger projects where your team, like a team of analysts work together. So I usually got, like, in there was a company called the Access Group. I got like 8 members actually to work with. So that is a good example here to tell you that this is one of the kind of a thing that you actually get in kind of things. But yes, one more thing I want to tell you, that you might get, let's say for example, both the project and analyst entities, they are connected with these two lines you see, like specific line here, which actually tell you the participation. Like every analyst, they must be assigned to at least one project. An analyst cannot be in this exist in the system without being assigned to a project. Like there is no kind of a system that please sit on the bench, right? Like if you have, I mean, obviously you are a student right now, you don't know. So I'll tell you, like usually what happen is when you work for Google, they might give you a bench for a longer time, like 3 4 months you are getting paid, but you're not working. Or maybe they just tell you, just to be creative and find your own project, do some research and stuff, and your work is to find something new and project, and kind of that is basically called sitting on a bench. You are sitting on a bench, you're getting the salary, but you're not working. And that is what really happened. But in that this case, in this slide, it is not a case. Every analyst must be assigned to at least one project. An analyst cannot exist in the system without being assigned to a project. Like in Google it does, but in here it never. So every project must have at least one analyst working on it, and a project cannot exist without an analyst also. So you can say that this kind of model could be used in companies' project management systems also, and it shows you that every project must have at least one analyst working on it, and that's it. And obviously, analysts can be assigned to multiple projects at once. So similarly, every analyst must be linked to a project to exist in a system. That is what it is, Mr. Joe. But do you have any specific doubt in here?
And then one more thing, I
Yes.
understand what you're, do you see this on the project? There's the crow foot and there's a line here.
Yes, that is mandatory partition. Means that is what I was telling you. This is called mandatory partition. Means both project and analyst entities, they are connected with this thing, which is basically shows that every analyst must be assigned to at least one project exactly. At least one.
So that's why I ask you, I don't need to put another line here because the last one where there's two lines, right? But this one only have one.
Yes, so basically if you saw the last if you talk about the last one, I have told you in the last one, uh, it was the lines basically was showing you that uh, like kind of that the relationship between customer that must exist in order for an order to be placed. Like in the order should be like the order cannot exist without being linked to a customer. So specifically, those vertical lines was telling us that it was indicating that the customer must be present for an order to exist, and which means that you cannot place an order in a database that isn't tied to a valid customer. Here, you specifically have one line, and here this shows you mandatory partition again, which shows you that. Specifically that there should be an analyst present for one project at least. And in case there are multiple projects, or just maybe just one project, there can be multiple analyst also can be hired. But if you talk about, let's say, what is the difference specifically between like one line, one vertical line there, and you know and two vertical line. So let me just clear that also, in case do you have any confusion in that too, right? Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
line.
Yeah, I got it, no worries. So I'll explain you basically. So in when you talk about diagrams, like you see on your screen, the number of vertical lines represent whether participation in a relationship is mandatory or optional. So one vertical line represent optional participation, means that an entity may or may not participate in the relationship. Like in other words, if it is not required for every instance of entity to have a related instance in the other entity. For example, if you have a relationship between customer and order, and there is one vertical line on the customer side, it means that a customer may or may not place an order, and there can be a customer in the database who haven't placed any order yet. But if there are two vertical lines that represent mandatory partition means, which means that the entity must participate in the relationship. In other words, every instance of the entity must be related to at least one instance in the other entity. Means if you have a relationship between employee and department and there are two vertical lines next to the employee, then that means that every employee must be assigned a department. It is not really possible to have an employee in the system without being linked to any specific department. You might have seen that, they ask you which department are you from. They ask you that. So people tell, okay, we belong to this department, we belong to that department. They specifically tell you all about that. So that's the reason, specifically. So the distinction is very crucial when you are designing again databases, and it tells you whether some records like customers, employees, or orders, they are what type of relationships they have with the other things. And this is what the difference again is vertical in vertical and single line. I repeat, single line is like optional participation. Double line means like, participation is really must. There should be a participation, otherwise this will not work. Yeah, you get it? By, like, for
Yes.
example, in this one, as I mentioned to you, even if there is mandatory partition, like it is not really mandatory and it is optional partition also, Mr. June, then in that case, I told you the example of a bench. You know what is a bench and stuff in Google, concept of that. So that can also work. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Make sure in case you forgot any of this thing, because we are not writing theoretical part. I'm trying to explain you right now. You can see these videos again and clear your doubt. In case if you still feel like something you are missing on, just text me over. I'll help you out in that. Okay.
Okay. You.
So now we have this specific thing. Let's understand this quickly, Mr. Joe. What do you think about this, Joe, now?
So there is a relation between the two entities. The customer is mandatory. It's almost the same as before, but
Yes.
now there is an after.
Yes. So now I can definitely build up some speed for you so that we can cover up this thing quickly. So the thing basically focuses on here. It again define you the number of instances like one entity can relate to other one. Customer, they have given you an order. They have given you again. The customer represent you again. He is a person or organization. Can be a person also, June, or it can be an organization also
Okay.
that can
Yes.
place an order. And then order here, this represent you a purchase. It just represent you a purchase, or actually you can say request that is made by a customer. So relationship again, the line labeled here, which is basically this line here, this indicates you that customer can place an order. This line, it represent that customer can place an order. And what the next 0.25 is written there. If you see, that is basically called cardinality, which tells you the number of orders a single customer can place. So this o thing, which is means basically a customer can, like you can also see this 0.225. Zero means that obviously customer can place zero orders also, meaning it is possible for a customer to exist without having placing any order. Or 25 means till dot dot 25 means that this is an upper limit, meaning a single customer can place up to 25 orders. This puts like a restriction on a number of order a customer can make, and the system won't allow a customer to exceed or like more orders than 25. So yeah, cardinality, this thing is called, oh, it is written already. I think I'll just have to show you the other way around. So this here,
Yes.
right? So this refers to the range of how many, this is actually, I'll write down range. This is range here, June, of how many, like how many instances of like one entity are associated with another one. In each, for each customer, they may place anywhere from 0 to 25 orders, and it's really optional. They might place no orders, but they can't exceed the limit of 25. So, like for example, there are a customer whose name is Mike. He's a customer on the platform Amazon, and he ordered different products, and he can place no orders also. He just browses and doesn't buy anything. He could place 10 orders also over time, but he cannot limit like more than 25. If he tries to do the 26th order, the system would not definitely not allow him. That's all about this one.
Okay. Yes.
Nice. Let's move towards the next thing then, which is this one. This is another slide here. Now, what is this slide about? We have, let me check first. Always, this is one-to-many relationships and prime for the part. Okay, Joe, this is also very simple though. I can see that. So let me just tell you quickly in this one what they are telling you, Joe. So again, one-to-many. In one-to-many relationship, one instance of the entity basically is related to many instances of another one. For example, they have mentioned here department. This entity represent a department in a company, right? So each department is unique and identified by a primary key, which is basically called PK here, which is primary key, and which is basically the department number here. Here. And the department entity contain attributes, two types of attributes. One is department number and another one is department name. Again, here they have mentioned to you that there is department number and then there is department name also. Then employee, which is basically, again, this entity represent you the employees working in the company. So each employee is uniquely identified by their employer number, employee number, which is the primary key, which is basically PK here. This is, they have mentioned here, employee number, which is the PK for the employee entity, and attributes of the employee include, these are all attributes here, which is name, date of birth. Then you have a hire of date when he got hired. Then you have department they work for. Here is the department they work for. So yeah, PK is the primary key, which is unique identifier for records in the table. For example, department number is the primary key for the department entity, and employer number is the primary key for the employee entity. Then there can be foreign key also, like FK. They have mentioned foreign key, which is this one. So this is the field in one that links to the primary key in another table. Like in this specifically case, department field is in the employer entity is the foreign key, which is linking the employee to the department they work in. So the primary key is always at one end of the relationship. In this case, the department entity is at the one end, meaning that one department can have many employees in specifically here. And also FK, which is this part of thing, June. Um, this is always at the many end, means that the department field in the employee table is a foreign key, which indicate that many employees can be related to one department. There are some rules. An employee works in one department means each employee is assigned to only one department at a time, means the foreign key department in the employee entity, it is linked to the primary key department number in the department entity. So for example, I'll give you a real example of it actually, so that you can understand, because I might be thinking that it is confusing for you. So you can imagine you have a company with two departments. One is HR, another one is engineering. This is engineering short form. Now HR has 5 employees and engineering have 10 employees. Each department is represented by a unique department number that can have multiple employees linked to it. For each employee, there is a department field, which is basically the foreign key in their record, that basically refers to the department they belong to. So that is what basically this is. Do you need more explanation on it, or do you
No,
have any specific doubt?
no, not really.
Are you sure, June?
Yes, yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Uh, okay, let me ask you a question here.
Okay.
So tell me, Joe, one thing here that, sorry, June, that what do you think about, like, in the relationship between department and employee, which entity holds you the foreign key and why? FK and why? Now you might be thinking, I'll try to test you over and over so that you will be a better student. I want you to rejoin first of all before that so that we can continue to the same meeting ID, Joe. Okay, June.
Okay. Yes.